The Houston Texans beat the New England Patriots, man, and Tank Dell has pretty much solidified himself as the Texans' best receiver. And before you tell me, man, JT, it's just one preseason game, Tank Dell has been snapping for the Houston Texans in training camp and even in OTAs and minicamp. This isn't something that has came out as a surprise. Like, I've been telling you guys for the last couple of months that Tank Dell was going to be a stud. He was targeted 8 times, caught 5 passes for 65 receiving yards, and he caught a touchdown right before halftime. And what really impressed me the most about Tank Dell was that he was doing this lining up primarily on the outside. Now, they also moved him in the slot, but the biggest concern that most people had about Tank Dell was his size. He came out 5'8", 165 pounds around draft time. Now, obviously, he probably has gained a little bit more weight, but with him being a little bit undersized for the receiver position, you weren't expecting to see Tank Dell lining up as an outside receiver, but he was, and he was damn good last night. He was routing up Jack Jones, and Jack Jones had a really good rookie season. Do your research on Jack Jones. He picked off Aaron Rodgers last year. He's projected to be a starting cornerback for New England this year, and he's supposed to be really good this season. They are expecting him to have a breakout season, but Tank Dell was giving him a lot of problems. And like I was telling you guys around draft time, great wide receivers normally are really good route runners. If you want to judge how good a receiver possibly could be coming out of college, look at how good they run routes. Look at how great they are at creating separation. That's what some of the best wide receivers in the NFL are good at doing. Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson. What do they all have in common? Fantastic route running and the ability to create a lot of separation from defenders. And that's what Tank Dell does well. Anytime you have a receiver that runs great routes and gets off the line with ease, they normally tend to have really good careers, and that's what we saw out of Tank Dell in this game. And before halftime, on that last drive that the Texans had before they ended up scoring, he pretty much was targeted nearly every play during that drive by Davis Mills. Tank Dell, I think it's pretty safe to label him the best receiver on the Houston Texans roster. Now, we didn't see Robert Woods, and obviously, you got John Mechie, and you got a couple of other wide receivers that can still emerge and prove themselves. But Tank Dell, not just was he the best wide receiver in this game for Houston, but he probably has been the best receiver for Houston all throughout training camp. I think sooner rather than later, Tank Dell is going to emerge as the unquestioned best receiver on the Houston Texans roster. And if you're somebody who plays fantasy football, you better make sure that you go ahead and grab up Tank Dell before he goes off for another great preseason performance and you can no longer get him, because I think that he's going to have a really phenomenal rookie season. Now, the Texans, as I alluded to earlier, their interior offensive line, they need some new backups, bro, because C.J. Stroud damn near got killed out there. When C.J. Stroud went down for that sack, I was looking at the TV and I was yelling at D'Amico Ryans from my TV screen, telling him to take C.J. Stroud out before you get him hurt back there, man. Those backup offensive linemen that the Houston Texans had blocking for C.J. in this game are going to get somebody hurt. If you lose Shaq Mason or whoever else you have as your starters on, the offensive line when it comes to offensive guard and at the center position, you're in trouble, bro, because these backups are not good. And I understand that you can't expect starting caliber play out of your backup interior offensive lineman, but you're not expecting those guys to just let whoever's on the defensive line get a free shot at the QB, because that's pretty much what we saw last night. Anytime the Houston Texans wanted to throw the football back there, C.J. Stroud had a crowd of Patriots defensive linemen trying to break his neck. I mean, this dude was sitting back there looking like light-skinned Lamar Jackson out there, man. Can C.J. Stroud get some solid protection out there? Can D'Amico Ryans and their offensive coordinator put some better backups on the field, because if that's what Houston is working with as their second string offensive line, they're going to be in a lot of trouble if somebody gets hurt, man. For real, they're going to get somebody killed back there, man. If CJ Stroud is going to start next week, make sure that he's having the first team offensive line blocking for him. I know that Houston has some guys out with injuries, but just put some better people out there to block for the brother, man. Are you trying to get CJ Stroud injured during the preseason? Because it sure looks like it with the offensive line play that we saw blocking for him. I mean, Davis Mills and Case Keenum seemed like they had a little bit better protection than what CJ Stroud had. I mean, gosh, get some better protection out there for CJ Stroud, please, please. Now, when it comes to the quarterback play, Davis Mills and Case Keenum, they looked really good. Davis Mills especially, 9 of 12, 99 passing yards in the touchdown. Even though Davis Mills is going to be CJ Stroud's backup, he still is auditioning for the opportunity to potentially get traded to another team, and maybe he could be in a situation where with a new team, he has the opportunity to potentially get another chance to start as a quarterback in this league again. And the preseason isn't just the audition for, a roster spot or trying to win a position battle. You're also putting film on tape for other teams to watch. And Davis Mills had a really good game. He was really good, really accurate, made good decisions with the ball. And Case Keenum wasn't too bad neither. But you expect Case Keenum to have the kind of performance that he did in that game because he's a veteran. He's been in the NFL for several years. He's been on a lot of teams. He's had a good amount of success in certain places, i.e. with the Minnesota Vikings when he led them to the playoffs. So you expect Case Keenum to have a really good preseason performance given his experience. Now, the defense overall for Houston looked really good. There wasn't really any individual player that I could single out because everybody looked really good. I think the secondary played really well, even though they did give up a really big play to Tyquan Thornton. But outside of that, I really like what I saw out of Houston's defense. Will Anderson, although he didn't really get a lot of snaps and we didn't really get to see him that much, he had a couple of plays that made you go, okay, I see why Houston traded back up to draft him. He has rare athleticism. This dude is crazy athletic with fantastic strength. I think that the Houston Texans, like I told you guys a couple of weeks ago, are going to have a top 10 defense. And what I saw in the preseason out of the linebacker unit and the secondary really impressed me. So these are my takeaways from the Houston Texans preseason win over the New England Patriots.